Hey Soul Fam, how you doing? Welcome if you are new to the channel, and welcome back if you love me. I love you too. We're gonna spin the wheel, see whose turn it is today, whose energy needs it. I'm gonna light some incense as well. Leo. All right, Leo. I don't know if our wheel has spun you yet, so that's exciting. All right, let's see. Hope you all find yourself in beautiful energy. Let's see. All right. So Leo. Oh, you know what? I didn't grab my phone. I want to do the chart of the moment for you guys. I always leave it on the charger like I'm actually going to be able to charge my phone and keep battery or something. It doesn't work that way. My phone's always on me. All right. Let's see. So right now for Leo. Hey, Rita. Hey, Story. How you guys doing? So right now for Leo energy, you've got Mars in your sign. It is still trining on the Venus, Chiron, and Eris conjunction going on. If you guys caught it, it is in the shorts from the June cosmic currency that we did, the day-by-day breakdown. So we've talked about that. As of right this very moment, that energy is actually being sesquiquadrate by the moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo right now is sesquiquadrate the Venus, Chiron, Eris conjunction going on. With that enshrined to Mars in your sign, being challenged by the moon, it's almost asking for a meticulousness and yet a gratitude in the perfection of imperfections that come along with the fact that we ourselves maybe see our ability to heal and our ability to help and our ability to take pride in our ability to do that. It can, how do I want to describe that? It's like we love the work, but there's such a weight to making sure that we do it correctly that we probably put ourselves in high anxiety, right? With the moon being emotions, that feeling of anxiety, if we mess it up. Right? When we have, our own healing to think about and the healing of others that we're focused on, especially, things that we care about, people that we care about, there's this vibe of really not wanting to mess it up. And so you might be feeling that quite a bit as of late. With that, Leo is taking a little bit of challenge from Uranus at 28 degrees Taurus. So that would only be if you really had like last degree placements of Taurian energy, different planets or placements around there. But it would be things in the reality maybe shaking up or radically interfering with your ability to perform at the best of your ability for other people, right? The things that we take pride in as far as our ability to heal other people. There may be obstacles in the way to maybe throw a fork in the plan, like you have this great idea about what healing is needed, within yourself or other people. And then there's just obstacles that are seemingly out of nowhere. And it's almost like it's preventing you from being able to do the healing job you want to do or love the way you want to love, right? Hold that space of generous heart for people the way you want. It's just because the outer experience might be causing some conflicts. Like you might easily be able to solve a problem in your reality with $100. The problem is the $100 isn't there. It's like, it would solve so much if it were just there. And it's like, but maybe something came out of your bank account and now you thought you had it and you don't, right? The other things going on, obviously, with Leo energy is having the opposition from Pluto and Aquarius, which is a big deal. If you have early Leo placements, right, within the first 5 degrees of Leo, you're taking that opposition from Pluto, and Pluto is intense and it's demanding transformation and integration into higher collective consciousness, which sounds like a lot. But in layman's terms, it's when you act in alignment with yourself, it sets everybody on the path to act in alignment for themselves as well. And sometimes we do have to emotionally detach, like maybe something isn't working out, or you are not being, given the opportunity to be a healer in a certain situation because there's other things taking place, and what you would be aligning with in your beautiful heart help is not necessarily aligned in the highest good in the healing sense on a soul level. And so there's little things that, you might have to look at as far as, if this makes me happy, and that sense of safety in life, that sense of calm or peace in life, right, is in play and it resonates with me, can I say yes to doing what resonates, even if others disagree? Can I stand on my own in my own energy and get out of that group think, while also acknowledging that the group does think a certain way and not negating it entirely just because you have your own perspective that you feel is maybe the correct one, right? So things to think about with Leo energy. You don't really have any trines coming from Sag to help you out unless it's natal. And the things in Aries that are helping you out right now, with Venus, we talked about that conjunction, but you've also got Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is trining on the early degrees of Leo energy. So having that opposition from Pluto, but also getting those trines from Saturn and Neptune is kind of asking you, like, yes, you can't necessarily fix everything the way you think you want it fixed. However, there is a divine order to things, and it is healing, even if you can't see how that makes sense, right? There is a higher order to it. Neptune kind of clouds and fogs, and Saturn's order, but it's also healing, and it's also time. It's karma. There are certain things that need to heal in the karma on a very spiritual level that maybe have been blocked out. And so Leo is kind of privy to it. They're kind of getting these downloads about what needs to heal. They just might not know how, right? They might not know how, but it's there and the healing is taking place. If you're getting met with roadblocks, there is a reason why the healing is meant to come from another direction or in another way, right? Hey, Kristen. Hey, Lala. How you doing? Yes. Yeah, the moon's in Virgo now. The moon's in Virgo now. It transited into Virgo. I feel like when the moon's in Virgo collectively, and it's if you have mutable placements, it tends to be really fucking irritating because emotionally there are certain things that you do have to process through in a kind of meticulous manner, and mutables, when it's in square, kind of throws a wrench in the flow of unpredictability that they thrive in. It's asking for some kind of order or sense of organization at the very least. Virgo likes things organized. So whenever the moon is in Virgo, it asks you to organize your feelings, and the mutables that square and oppose it don't like it. They don't like to have to stop to organize things, depending on what the placement is in those mutable signs. They're just like, why do I have to stop and do this in order to move forward? So, there are certain things going on with the moon in Virgo that are beneficial because the organization of emotions and kind of figuring out where they need to go, where those emotions are misplaced, what needs to get thrown out, what emotions are outdated, where can we clean the emotions, what can we decide, how do we decide what emotions are worth feeling right now and which ones need to be kind of filed away so that they could be dealt with at a more appropriate time, right? There's priority when it comes to Virgoian energy. So that could definitely be felt throughout the day, not just for Leo, but for everyone. Yeah, we're doing Leo. So Leo, let's see what other placements may be significant for you with the message coming out today, and or if you're cross-watching, right, if they have significant placements in their chart. We have Aquarius. So we were just talking about that opposition, right, from Leo energy. So this reading may be really telling as far as how Pluto is playing a role in your energy. We've also got Mercury, which Mercury, it's ruled by Gemini and Virgo. Gemini has Mercury in it right now, which is sextiling on Leo's energy. And that's great, right? Because that means communication is clear. It's got Jupiter in that house. You know, the sun is in that house. It's Gemini season. So there's a lot of positive things with communication, especially because Gemini also does trine on Aquarian energy. And then we have the fourth house. Fourth house is Cancer ruled naturally, and it is ruled by the moon as well. So Cancer rules the moon. So maybe very significant if you're a Leo moon, Leo Mercury, even if you are not a Leo sun sign, because even though Mercury does tend to follow the sun and stay in that sign, every once in a while you catch someone with a certain sun sign and Mercury falls either in the sign before or after, right? Mercury could be playing a role, and so can Cancer, Virgo, Gemini, and obviously Aqua. Aqua rules Uranus and originally Saturn. So Saturn in Aries and Uranus and Taurus could most definitely be playing a role in this energy. So let's see what is going on. Let's see what's going on. We're going to start with the Harrow and my hand-drawn cards for Leo energy, and those who resonate, especially with the dice. Leo Mars, hey, hey, hey. I personally do not have a single Leo placement. Not one. I got a true void in that house. I got no Leo in my chart. Stacked in Sag. It's all my fire right there. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? So let's see, Spirit, what is going on with Leo energy, the house that Leo rules? I'm wearing the necklace you gave me, by the way, Tanya. I love that little heart. It's a ruby zoisite, for those of you who are curious. All right, so Leo. We got the Mountain Man and we got the Peacock, which landed upside down. And when I went to go flip it sideways, it landed upright. So we're going to see how that goes. I've also got the Dance and the Tangled Briar, which is all about divine happenings and planetary alignments, right? The Dance is all about the planets. The Tangled Briar is not comfortable, so we're going to see what that's about. I'm being told there's nothing else in the Harrow. Okay. Clarities, please, on the Mountain Man and that energy. We've got the Key, Chiron energy. And clarify the Peacock, please. Clarify that energy, please. I've got the Needle and Thread and one of our Broken Mind cards. And then give me an overall clarity on the Tangled Briar and the Dance. Mirror is on top. We've got the Purity. It came out in the reverse. We've also got the Mushroom and the Olive Branch. Mushroom also came out in the reverse. All right, Leo. For the overall theme of the energy, which I don't feel like this is a person, I feel like this is just the overall energy that you may be dealing with the Tangled Briar and the Dance. Let me read those for you real quick, and then I'm going to tie in what the Purity and the Mushroom in reverse means with the Olive Branch. Okay. The Tangled Briar is a lawful evil card, which means shadow contracts, right? Shadow contracts. The Tangled Briar is a card of ancient deeds. It indicates an object or person from long ago that will somehow have great influence on the situation. The object or person in question is one lost or left in some foul way. Person from the past, right? Shadow contracts. This is someone with malintent, right? Malintent. And I feel as if there's some, it feels like that debt collector energy, which has been coming up a lot recently in the different reads, even talking about, you know, the astrology and stuff like that. This is someone who felt wronged, either in a past life or from you earlier in this life, just in the past in general. And it comes out with the dance, which, you know, anytime we have past life enemies or hidden enemies and things like that, we're thinking 12th house, right? 12th house is a house of hidden adversaries. Could also be hidden angels, you know, that maybe get read as villains, which this version of the Broken Mind card really touches on that. And then it comes out with the dance. So the dance is lawful good, which is contracted good, right? High aligned contracts. And the complete opposite, right? So the dance is a rich and delicate framework that, like the universe itself, requires everyone within it to abide by its rules, lest the entire construct collapse. It advises staying in perfect step, knowing your place in the greater good. Those who step out of the pattern do so at their peril. Okay. With the purity in reverse, it kind of doubles down on the fact that whatever the connection is, it is not innocent or untainted in any way, right? There is something about it that screams kind of toxicity and poison as well, with the mushroom in the reverse, tied with the purity, which is a rose, right? A white rose. It could also be like, thorns, right? Someone who is difficult to pin down or get a hold of. With the olive branch, it could also be a symbol of peace. And so this toxic contract or old debt may be resolved or going to be resolved, and or it is coming to a truce with the olive branch. Because what happens is, and how we get ourselves in these karmic cycles sometimes, is we don't always remember every single lifetime or how things started. Sometimes the vibe we remember is from the most recent one. You know, like maybe in a past life, my counterpart was the best person ever and I was a complete 𝐶UNT. I meet up with him in this life and all he remembers is that I was a complete 𝐶UNT in the most recent life, and it doesn't matter how nice I am now, right? Or that I'm trying to make up for it now, because the vibe, he remembers my energy as a 𝐶UNT, right? And it's no different the other way around. So it's almost like there's a truce. It's almost as if there's a truce, so that there is no ongoing debt moving forward in this life or the next. Like, yes, we both hurt each other. Yes, we both have a history of toxicity, right, in relation to each other. And maybe it's just time to heal it and shake and let it go. You know, like we've both done damage and we've both done healing. And maybe it's just time to let that cycle drop, right? The roller coaster of energy that goes from, you know, high toxicity and villain type era status to angel status, and not really having that comfortable in between. Because what happens is, you know, the quote unquote angel versus demon scenario, or light versus dark, as that transits across lifetimes, you get narcissist empath dynamics. Right? The empath is the quote unquote angel and the narcissist is the quote unquote demon, but those roles may have been flipped at some point in the lifetimes that have transpired. And there is a happy middle where you aren't sacrificing yourself to detriment as the empath, making up for, you know, things that may have been missed in a past life. And there's also, you know, that energy of the narcissist, which, you know, takes and uses and abuses because they feel entitled to it, And not every narcissist is that way with everybody, right? Some people don't understand an empath and narcissist dynamics, how the empath is the only one being abused when the narcissist isn't abusing everybody else, right? They're not that way to everybody else. Matter of fact, everybody else usually loves the narcissist. It just so happens to be that one person that the narcissist just has a really hard time showing any kind of love, consideration, or compassion to, and they abuse them. So why is that? And it has to do a lot with past life cycles. So that's the overall vibe. And I think that is, like I said, coming to a truce. We have lawful evil and lawful good contracts that, if anything, are creating more imbalances in the collective, because what happens is when these two energies, narcissist and empath, kind of connect with each other, there's innocent bystanders that are affected and deeply hurt in the process. You know, if you have a empath and a narcissist parent, the children growing up see that dynamic in the pain ripples. It's like, okay, so how do we have these contracts just stop so that the people who never were involved in the quote unquote vendetta to begin with, how do we stop the damage, right? How do we stop the damage? And it's peace. It's choosing peace. It's choosing to let the cycle stop, right? It's choosing to let the cycle stop. So when we get into the Mountain Man, this is person number 1. The Mountain Man is chaotic neutral and signifies an encounter with a physical power outside of one's control. The giant could personify an authority, an army, an earthquake, or even a desperately needed rainstorm in a parched land. Acceding to the force might be wise, but surviving it is paramount. There are things beyond our control. This is Chiron. Chiron. Understanding. And I just posted that video, the interview with Deborah Silverman, in the community tab. That's now the post tab here on the channel. But it's a reminder that psychology and astrology are, to me, indefinitely intertwined. Like, you can't separate the two. I can understand where someone's patterns are, their wounded patterns, by looking at an astrology chart. And I could also see how to get out of those patterns, right? With understanding and leaning into the strengths that aid those wounds to heal. When we have Chiron wounds, Chiron, when people light up your Chiron in your chart, that's the empath. That's when the empath mode kicks in. I have to martyr myself into oblivion to help this person heal. I will do everything and anything for them to see them heal. And being aware of our Chiron energy, right? We understand the draw. Anybody who has been on the quote unquote twin flame journey knows that there is an irresistible draw to help heal an individual, that you would sacrifice your own health, happiness, finances, whatever it is, to let this person feel loved, seen, cared about, understood, important, right? All of these things that we want them to feel. And it's a reflection of the deep wounding within the self, right? We give to others what we want and need for our own selves. The Mountain Man energy, or person number 1, is probably in the midst of a Chiron healing, where they are intrinsically drawn to and tied to and committed to the healing of somebody. And surviving it is paramount, because it is excruciatingly detrimental. That's person number 1. Person number 2 is the Peacock. The Peacock is a neutral card. It is a creature of astonishing beauty, but it is a beauty that can only be retained if frozen like a cockatrice's statues. Smarter people will accept the passage of time and dance out of the peacock's way. Its appearance always signifies a sudden personal shift in attitude or societal change. The needle and thread that it came out with, it's the red thread. And if you're familiar with the red thread, it is tied to twin flame dynamics. It's metaphorically the cord that can't be cut, right, between you and another soul, where we are essentially quantumly entangled to a person where our life and their life mirror each other in really interesting ways, and yet are seemingly complete opposites, right? Two ends of the same spectrum, the yin and yang connection. And it comes out with the broken mind, where the angel is right in front of us, but it's perceived like a demon. It's perceived like a demon. So person number 2 is, in a sense, kind of like the narcissist, where they have the angel energy, right? The empath, Chiron, right in front of them, but they're registering them as a toxic energy, a selfish energy, a weak energy, right? That can be used. And most people steer clear of it. Most people steer clear of it. Most of the time when there's a narcissist involved in the dynamic, someone who loves you and your soul family warned you. Someone warned you, right? And the warning is never heeded when Chiron's involved, because there's this draw to fix it. There's this draw to help it, heal it, love it back to spiritual health. The peacock doesn't see it though. And most people steer clear of it. Like, yeah, they might be a good person. I wouldn't get involved in a relationship with them though. Anybody who's had a twin flame dynamic, I promise you, if you were the empath, you had someone say, I don't know if they're good for you. I don't like them for you. There's something about them that's off. I hope you leave this person. You deserve better, right? Or this person's crazy, or this person is this and that. And, you know, we got the warnings. We got the warnings. But we can't help it. There's this tie, and there is the red thread that connects, and it is a process that you really do have to ride out. You know, kind of like the desert waiting for the rain. The desert can't be anything else but the desert, and it desperately needs the rain, and it is in waiting. It's no different with the mountain man. So let's see. Let's see what is going on. We're going to use the Wild Unknown Tarot. We're going to use the Wild Unknown Tarot. And Leo, this might be a really big deal for you, especially because Chiron is conjunct Venus right now, right? In Aries, trining on your sign. This would actually be a really positive day to see the beauty in yourself, and maybe not be so hard on yourself that you can't heal it the way you want, right? Opposition to Pluto. You can't heal it the way that you want, at the speed that you want, or receive the love in return that you are so desperately seeking, right? Because Chiron wants the love that it gives. It wants to be loved and nurtured and considered and put on the pedestal, just like it does for other people. And if you're not getting that love back, this is actually a really beautiful window to kind of acknowledge the fact that maybe you don't have to stay in this cycle. You don't have to commit to it, you know, till death do you part kind of shit. Like, sometimes if it's painful, you can accept that your love is beautiful, and that maybe someone is just not ready to receive it, and stop sacrificing yourself into oblivion for it, right? That's what the card said for you at home. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any Leo placements? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't. I don't even have any Aries placements. No Aries, no Leo in my chart. All right, so we've got the Mother of Wands. Leo, I consider that your energy. Highly protective. We've also got the Four of Swords, which is Christ's consciousness and the Lamb. We've got the Strength card, your energy out again, right? Leo energy. And the White Rose is there in the Lion's Mouth. What else, please? What else, please? Got the Four of Coins, multiple fours now. And the Empress, Taurean energy. We were talking about Uranus with the dice, right? We've got Aqua on the dice. What else? Clarities, please. Clarify these for Leo, please. Six of Swords. Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter energy. That's that sextile from Jupiter and Gemini. 2 Mars and Leo. Judgment wanted my attention. We're going to throw it back in the deck. 10 of Coins reversed on the Strength card. Hanged Man on the 4 of Coins. And one more clarity for the Empress, please. And then I think I'm going to take it a layer deeper. I'm going to pull my Naked Heart Tarot. One more clarity, please, for the Empress. The Father of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Mother of Swords. Top is the 9 of Wands. That is also Chiron energy, right? Lots of Chiron going on. Lots. All right, give me further clarity on the Mother of Wands with the 6 of Swords. Came out with the 5 of Wands. Clarify the 4 of Swords with the Wheel of Fortune. Take it a layer deeper for me, please. The Magician, Gemini energy, that's out, right? It's also Virgoing energy. It's Mercury, so that's on the dice. It's now out in the cards. Strength is clarified by the Queen of Wands, now out twice. Please clarify the 4 of Coins with the Hanged Man. We've got the 8 of Wands. Hanged Man is Piscean energy. North Node's there right now. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles with the Empress and the Father of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the 10 of Swords. Top is the Page of Wands. All right. Thank God I have a big table because I spread out. My goodness. Okay. So Leo. Top and bottom of the deck energy. I think you're aware of the fact that maybe you have reached an impasse with the healing, especially if it is Chiron related. Almost as if you're aware that if you continue down the path you're on, trying, right? The word trying to help someone else heal, that it could be what is essentially the quote unquote death of you, whether it's literal or metaphorical, you know, that you would sacrifice yourself to the point that you are a shell of a person, right? Which happens, you know, we see people in abusive relationships, narcissist empath relationships, that if the empath doesn't get out, there's not much of them left, right? Who they are as a person, their interests die, their hobbies cease, their drive to participate in things social stops, right? Everything that they were prior to meeting the narcissist tends to fall to the wayside. I talked about it here on the channel where there was a time where I was in the relationship I was in with my quote unquote counterpart, and I got this download from Spirit, and Spirit kind of let me know, like, if you do not leave and choose yourself, we are going to remove you. And it was just this really persistent thought. And it wasn't like a fear state that the thought was giving me. It was very much a matter of fact, like, you have a choice to make. Do you want to lose yourself? Do you want this to be the end of you and how you know you? Or do you want to hold on to yourself and keep discovering, you know? I think that, Leo, you are at this point where you are real aware that if you do not reinvent yourself with the Page of Wands, that you will absolutely end up in a 10 of Swords situation, right? It's not going to be good. It's high anxiety, mental stress, betrayal, right? All of the things that come along with the 10 of Swords, including the extreme ends. Okay, including the extreme ends. I think that you have a lot of love for a certain soulmate with that Chiron energy. And the truth is, you've committed to that. Even if you were to leave the situation with them, the love isn't going to go anywhere. Matter of fact, you would still defend them in spirit, right? So much so that even the act of leaving is an act of compassion for them. that leaving is an act of compassion for them, because at the end of the day, whenever you do cause harm to someone, whether it's physical, psychological, financial, mental, right, whatever it is, when you cause harm to someone, it does eat away at the soul on the inside. The memory is there. Even, the worst of the worst that have no quote unquote guilt or remorse, right? The psychos of the world. They still know that what they're doing is intrinsically wrong, and it sits in the soul. It's really hard to like who you are when there's things deep underneath eating at you, because people don't deserve it, right? They don't deserve it, especially the empaths, right? The ones that are going above and beyond to help you heal and be there to support you through the darkest of wounds, right? The trauma that sits underneath that maybe no one else sees. I feel as if we have one person, the Mother of Wands, who in this particular deck, right, it's the snake guarding the eggs. I'm just being drawn to the fact that these are both reptilian, right? The peacock is not actually a peacock. It's a dragon. It's a dragon, right? I feel like there's a certain energy that may be wanting to move forward and is causing fights because they want to move forward and they don't know how to address it. And I do feel that it is the quote unquote, narcissist of the dynamic here, the peacock energy, right? They are receiving all of this healing from the mountain man energy, and yet they don't want it. Not because the healing isn't beautiful, or not because they're not benefiting from it, but because they can only tolerate misbehaving or abusing someone for so long before they actually feel bad on some level, and they want to move forward. Like, they don't want to be in some kind of debt to this individual. They can accept hurting them to a degree. So I feel like the second person may be super petty and trying to push the first person out. Maybe they have their eyes set on something else and they just don't want to participate in this, I need rescuing type vibe they have with person number one anymore, right? I never asked for your saving. I don't want your saving. I think that because in my own opinion, the empath does start to get real deep and gets real close to cracking into the wounds, and the narcissist can't deal with that, right? They will only let an empath get so close before it really does get what feels like brutal abuse, no matter what level it's on. I think the second person's tapping out. They don't want the first person to get that close. And so their energy is becoming more erratic, and they're trying to get out, right? They're trying to get out. They're trying to escape the healing. With the Four of Swords, the Magician, and the Wheel of Fortune, the mirror of it all, which Gemini rules, right? And the perfection that Virgo brings. I think the communication or the download maybe from spirit to person number one is letting them know it's time to go. It's time to go, right? The Four of Swords has the Christ consciousness lamb at the bottom. And the swords are drawing in, right? Like they could drop and fall, the shadow swords, onto the lamb at any moment. And I feel as if the mind, or the third eye with the Magician, is open to the idea or the reality that if they don't turn the wheel, right? If they don't turn the wheel, they're going to get caught in this betrayal, right? What feels like the betrayal on the bottom of the deck that might have been a very long time coming. long time coming. And there may be children involved and things like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. I know it's a lot when you have to leave Chiron dynamics. Leo, with the Strength card, the Queen of Wands for the second time in this deck, it's the Fox with the sunflowers. It came out with the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. You may just let someone, if you're the empath, right, as a final act of love or generosity, sacrifice everything. An example would be, let's just say you live with this person. It's your home or your apartment or your car. Like, in order for them to be okay without you because you're leaving, you might leave them the home or leave them the apartment or leave them the car, right? Leave them something big that, the Ten of Pentacles may represent. Leave a job, even, because if y'all work together, right, you might leave the job so that they can stay and support their life, and you'll go through the finding of something else, right? It's this kind of final sacrifice in the name of peace or purity, right? The white rose that the lion has in its mouth is the same as the white rose out on the archetypal cards for the overall energy, like peace. The olive branch is a peace offering because it is toxic, and yet there is love there, and the consideration doesn't die. I cannot sit here and say that I don't truly want the highest good for the person I considered my counterpart, even all these years later, even despite all of the abuse that I took, psychologically and mentally and even financially and things like that. I feel, because there's such a deep soul contract between you and said individual, it is like a peace offering. Like, I cannot let you abuse me forever. However, I cannot abuse you in return. I do want the best for you, right? That's the beauty of Chiron. No matter how much pain Chiron takes, Chiron never dishes it. Chiron will never dish pain. It will only seek to resolve it. And so even despite all of the abuse and the contract, they will still insist on healing despite pain. The Four of Coins comes out with the Hanged Man and the Eight of Wands. So there's this doubling down by spirit as you are moving forward and coming to this, in this thought process. If you haven't chosen definitively yet, if you're in this thought process of maybe I could just give them everything and bow out gracefully kind of energy, I'll start over with nothing. It's that constant reminder or ping with the Eight of Wands from spirit that says holding on is stagnation, holding on is stagnation, holding on is stagnation in the dark, right? In the dark, where you're getting these downloads about the self inside the 12th house that Pisces represents and what you need to heal. But you are getting this push to move forward and take the lessons with you. You don't have to stay inside the dynamic to learn the lessons in reflection, which you absolutely can do. If you decide that you are going to accept forward movement, right, in order to veer out of what is essentially spiritual stagnation or even a 3D life stagnation, the Empress with the Father of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles closes the reading. It's divine feminine and its highest energy. The Empress is a grand receiver. It's receiving high knowledge and balance with the Father of Swords. The Father of Swords, or the King of Swords, is sometimes linked to Aquarian energy, being the final evolution of the court cards. But the Father of Swords is also cardinal, right? Kings are cardinal energy. It's cardinal air. It's Libran energy as well. The Empress is Libran energy as well, right? We're talking about Venus, and it's tied to Taurus. So there's a lot of things going on at the very end when you decide to move on with your journey. There's a grand receiving of a fresh new beginning that is tied to balance and is in alignment with the greater good, right? The as above and so below collective consciousness, the healing energy that is Aquarius. There's this realization, maybe in hindsight, that opening yourself up to receives also allows someone else to open up and receive. The separation, the pain was a teacher, but it was never meant to be the lifestyle. You know, the pain was a teacher. It's not a lifestyle. It's not meant to be forever. Chiron is not meant to be forever. That's the beautiful thing about Chiron's myth. Chiron was immortal. It feels forever and should go on forever. Like you could never stop. But at the end of the day, Zeus, right, took mercy on Chiron and relieved him of his immortality and put him in the stars as the constellation Centaurus. And I think that's telling. Where we could end in these cycles going on and on and on and on and on in pain forever, sometimes the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter, Zeus, turns and shows mercy on the self. And so I feel like there is a lot transpiring right now for Gemini, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Libra. All of these different elements are taking place, especially with the Piscean North Node, to kind of get us out of these old cycles of pain, right? Get us out of these old cycles of pain. What outcome? Because this is a breakdown of what is going on. So what could we expect moving forward if people were to stay on the path that they're on, right? The people at play, if they were to stay on the path that they're currently on, not necessarily choosing what they're choosing every day, but the vibration of energy and thought, you know, all of that they're in. If they are on that path, that energy alignment, what is the most likely outcome? Mind you, you're always in control of your energy when we talk about future insights. If you don't like the ending, it's within your control to change it, right? You are in control of your energy. You can always manifest better or worse depending on what you choose. So let's see, what is the most likely future? Okay. Clarities. Magician's out twice. Strength is out twice. Aries is out here now, and Uranus is out here now with the Fool card. The Hanged Man's out twice. Bottom of the deck is the Star, Aquarian energy. Top is the Wheel of Fortune, now out twice, Jupiter energy. Also Sag and Pisces. Okay. Outcome. Most likely outcome, right? Not definitive, but most likely outcome. I do think with the 6 of Coins and the 5 of Coins clarifying that whoever the first person is will probably give until they have nothing left, especially financially, which might be why they are so connected to the second person. They might have really needed a savior as far as financial security. And that is what they were involved with them for. I think that they could possibly give until there's nothing left. Because it's a one-way give with the 6 of Coin. And the 5 of Coin is having nothing left, right? Poverty energy, lack mindset or mentality. I also feel that whoever the second person is. May find themselves attracted to, really attracted to, a different energy, and they're at a choice point, right? Do I stay with the empath or do I go towards the new energy that I'm attracted to? With the Magician there, Virgo and Gemini energy, they may even be getting manipulated or convinced from someone else that maybe their connection to the first person is not good enough, right? Or someone communicating or manipulating the situation into them thinking that they could do better than person number one. Like, why are you with this person? Because even for all of their sacrifice, they are human. I'm sure they're not a perfect person, right? They have imperfections, and someone's probably like, you could do better than this. Even though this person is martyring themselves into oblivion, right? And that's when the Two of Coins sets off. And there's this ideal versus real. And what people want is the happily ever after, right? The 10 of Cups. They want that solid foundation. They want steady and reliable. They want excitement. They do want spontaneity. They do want effort in love. And they don't want to feel like they're missing opportunities. And they don't want to feel like they're stagnating. And I think ultimately that's going to be the deciding factor on which way this goes, whether you're person one or person two. The ideal is not the real, right? What is going on in the reality is not what you would choose ideally to experience. People do want that strength, Leo energy, that generosity of heart, that consideration, that compassion, that leadership, right? That take charge energy that is protective. They want the 10 of Cups. They want the 10 of Cups. And sometimes if it takes too long, people jump ship. It's not perfect. Especially if they're afraid they're going to miss an opportunity for it, being stuck where they're at. Right? If people feel stuck where they're at, they're afraid they're going to miss out on it because they don't have it and it must exist. Right? They want to believe that it exists. And so they start putting all this effort into new love in order to see things from a divine perspective. I do feel that person number two is more inclined to become an empath and their next dynamic moving forward to help them see in the deep 12th mirror of things, right? 12th house mirror of things. And I do think person number one is being shown the mercy and getting out of the narcissist empath cycles. I think they do believe that there is a 10 of Cups energy out there. I think they are willing to put in the work for it. I think they're willing to take the leap of faith for it because they don't want to miss it either. I do think that at some point, right, not necessarily tomorrow, but at some point, these two will part ways and go down their own individual paths of healing. I think it'll be easier on person number one if they choose to leave themselves and are not forced to leave by hitting a rock bottom. I think it gets really difficult psychologically to deal with the fact that someone just kind of ravaged your energy and dipped off like you never mattered, you know. I would highly advise if you're in this energy and you are going above and beyond for someone who's lighting up your Chiron placement, to just take a step back and maybe accept that your healing energy that you gave was beautiful and that it might be above your human pay grade. Your Chiron pay grade to help heal this person. They might need another narcissist to help them see, right, what is or is not acceptable when they are put in the same energy that they put you in. And this is the truce that we're coming to, right? The peace offering, or the olive branch that comes out of it all. When we start learning in these, deep, dark mirrors with each other as a collective, it is to get us out of these cycles and see that the extreme ends really don't help anybody. Being a narcissist or being an empath and being on those extreme ends don't really help anybody. For humor's sake, it's no different than politics. You could take extremists on either ends and they're not going to help anybody, right? They're not really going to help anybody, right? Anything on the extreme end of anything really isn't going to help you. It's about trying to find the happy middle and accepting that maybe not everybody can be perfectly content, but you most definitely don't have to suffer, right? Let's get a guidance card. We're going to do spiritual as fuck deck. I might pull a roomy too, we'll see. What's the advice, please, Spirit? Where is the advice, please, Spirit? Yeah, you can't skip it. You can't skip it. Okay. Stop trying to skip the fucking struggle. It says, keeping it positive won't insulate you from having emotions and needing to evolve. You're not going to spiritual your way out of hitting the next layer of wounds to heal. So many of us make the mistake of thinking we'll arrive and that'll be that. And that'll be that with the life lessons and shit. Personal growth is more like peeling an onion than like climbing a mountain. It gets stinkier and stinkier and you cry more, but everything gets juicier the deeper you go. The true spiritual badasses don't pretend like their onions don't stink. It's about facing the healing. It is about going deeper, not being afraid of the pain, right? Not being afraid to go through the processes if you're called to go through the processes, but to allow them to transpire, knowing there will be a point where you have to accept your exit and reflect so that you can take a look at the next layer. A great example would be, because I'm always talking about how I have Chiron and Lilith conjunct in my 12th house, and that I avoid romantic relationships with Gemini in placements like the plague because they're excruciatingly painful for me, right? And my soul family, all my everyday spiritual work tends to take the hit. When I stopped dating, I got involved with a company that I genuinely loved, only to grand open my store while Jupiter was on my Chiron in the 12th house. That was the birthday of my store. And it ran me into the ground. Until I had nothing left and had to leave. Right? You can't avoid the healings. So don't try and skip the struggle. Use the pain as a parent, like a teacher, and allow it to open up your eyes to different things, right? Had I not allowed myself to go through that pain cycle willingly or unwillingly, knowing or unknowingly, I wouldn't be able to sit here and say it's not just relationships. Chiron doesn't just affect relationships. It's a lesson that kind of transcends all areas of life. It's not just, you and the person you love. You can pour everything to your detriment into just about anything. This is why knowing the astrology is so important. If I want a Chiron lesson, you bet your ass I will accept. Gemini and energy, I will accept. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to martyr to a detriment. And now I'm not just looking at, potential partners and their birthdays. I'm looking at the birthdays of businesses too. For real. It says, grab your own butt, love yourself. That's the second card. says, whatever type of butt you have, you're a complete psychopath if you can't see that butts of all kinds are super fucking awesome. Look around at all the butts in the world. Big butts, teeny tiny butts, jiggly butts, orangutan butts, elephant butts. Grab your butt right now. Aren't you lucky to be the kind of animal that gets to have a butt? The answer is yes, you are lucky. Very, very lucky. Maybe just be aware that you have your own ass to protect and save and hold gratitude for. You know, like, you don't have to skip the struggle, but you don't necessarily have to stay in it either. And I think that's the point. Sometimes you got to save your own ass. You do. Because it's psychologically damning. It's emotionally damning. It's mentally damning. It's financially damning. It's psychologically damning, right? Like, sometimes you have to save your own ass. You can't skip it. You can't avoid it. If there's something that you miss in reflection, you will manifest another dynamic to help you. That is why we go through these cycles. It's about finding understanding and throwing yourself that olive branch, being smart about it, you know, being smart about it. Let's pull a Rumi card. I do want to pull a Rumi card. Spirit, please, what advice for Leo and those who are drawn to this reading in divine time? There we go. Card number 11, Sacred Convergence. Sacred Convergence. Yeah, I mean, really, people called it twin flame dynamics. It's Chiron. That's all. It's Chiron. So sacred convergence. Sacred convergence indicates a coming together of souls in alignment with a greater cause. This greater cause is both personal and impersonal. There is an aspect of joining together for common purpose, although that purpose may not be immediately obvious at a level of day-to-day consciousness. That common soul purpose may be to lift each other into greater love and self-belief, to shed fear and open the heart, filling each individual soul with more holy fire for its personal, passionate purpose. You'll have a sense when this process is happening. There will be a coming together of you with like-minded souls who hail from all walks of life, and yet together, through some invisible genius, you will help each other. You may simply be dancing in the same room, or singing in a group, attending a class or workshop, or just visiting the same beach or parkland. But at that moment, there will be a sense of something coherent and nourishing happening at a far greater level. The trickle-down effect into your personal life will be felt too. You'll have more energy after spending time with these people, even if you don't interact very much on a personal level beyond being in the same space. You'll feel empowered to step forward on your path and love yourself with less conditions. You'll become freer to shed your fears, let go of relationships based in fear and judgment, and open up to those more loving, responsive, and inspiring to continue on your personal journey in increasingly profound ways. This oracle has come to you because you are a part of a greater sacred convergence happening now. Perhaps you have already sensed its progression, or perhaps it will not be obvious to you, but the effect, whether obvious or subtle, will be important to your soul development and divine awakening. You are being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards groups of people that feel good for you. However, those that dampen your spirits or drag you down are to be dispensed with, no matter what games of blame or manipulation they may play to keep you coming back for more. No, that shall not do for your soul growth now. Just step away. Turn towards these connections that feel nourishing to your soul. and learn to share yourself without fear. Just be. You do not have to force the planets to spin, nor the great cycles of the soul to happen. All that is required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part, take your steps, dance, sing, and be, and allow the gifts of sacred connection to change your world, for this is the spiritual gift presented to you now. This oracle comes with a special message. Perhaps you have been thinking about shedding lower vibrational connections based in the ego world of power games, sabotage, manipulation, and fear. Perhaps you have already begun this process, or even shed so many you are fearing you might have overpruned to be left with nothing and no one. Do not fear, feisty angel of love. Your truth is prevailing. You cannot stay in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in a vibration of love. Whilst you learn to sustain that vibration within you until it cannot be rattled by any crisis or demand, you are wise to place yourself in more nourishing connections. If you want a plant to grow, why not give it the best soil and conditions in which to do so? Certainly, the plant of love can and will grow in the most inhospitable conditions, but it can be rather more joyful to grow in gentler, more nourishing conditions if possible. This oracle comes to you with guidance that the possibility for more joyful relationships and growth of love within is in your power. You can choose each day, each moment. Just make a choice. Trust yourself, your discernment, and your intuition, and choose. You do not owe anyone anything. Repeat this law of karma. You only owe love the chance to grow. So let that be your guiding principle now as you release the old, and trust that even in your garden of relationship becomes sparse for a while. Even if it becomes sparse for a while, you have been cutting back unhealthy plants to allow for new life to flourish. It is only a matter of timing for the season of new life and growth to come again, and so it shall be, bringing with it sacred convergence of souls on the path of love, your soul tribe, your soul family, your new tribe of those journeying upon the path of love. Rumi, who loves me unconditionally, I open to your grace. I hereby declare I am willing to release those connections that no longer serve my spiritual growth on the path of love. I release relationships based in fear and am open to those based in love. I surrender the need to know, to judge, to assert control, and to be, quote, in the right. I open up to tolerance, intuition, and honoring of my heart. I open to love. Show me the way, Rumi, brother of my soul. Guide me through your grace into the sacred convergence of my soul and divine love in its most gracious expression now and always. I call in my soul tribe of love, and I open my heart to nourishing connections in all ways now. So be it. Call the love in all of its forms. Call the love in. And in all of those relationships where fear was present, find gratitude. Find the vibration of love that is gratitude. Find the vibration of truth with yourself that allows you to love yourself enough to connect with the right conditions for your own growth. There is a beauty to Chiron energy in that it really does give the best love there is. The painful part of Chiron energy is it is tied to the intrinsic fear that you yourself will never be loved that way. Allow the fear-based connections, allow them to go. Trust that you are truly lovable in the highest vibration and do deserve and can and will be loved in that highest form with the right people. And everything else is just a fear-based connection that you can choose to let go of. You can wish it well and send it off. Let them connect with their highest of people, or the lower ones even, to help them push to find the highest ones there are. Had I not gone through certain Chiron cycles with people and situations, I wouldn't necessarily understand it the same way. Like, someone can describe a meatball to you, you can know what the ingredients in the meatball are, but how could you truly describe what a meatball is and what it tastes like if you've never experienced one for yourself? Sometimes we have to experience the pain. Sometimes we have to go through it so that when we meet other people in our life, we understand truly what they're talking about and how to fix it, how to move through it, where they were at the time and where they're going. It's important for understanding. If I didn't go through those cycles and feel guided to talk to you guys about it here, would you understand it the same way? If I didn't do research on certain things and connect the dots, you know what I mean, from other people who also have the same vibration as me, even though I didn't meet them, their energy was in the same space in the form of a book or an article I read, right? It was talking about not always having to be in the same space, or only needing to be in the same space, rather, not necessarily needing to interact with them directly. It was talking about people at the park and the same energy, right? That love flows, the inspiration flows, and all that jazz to be better and feel light. It's no different. You guys get to connect with that energy here. To remind yourselves that your love, your energy, your overflow was not for nothing. In fact, it was the most beautiful love there is, and you let someone know that it exists when they probably were in disbelief. And that they were worthy of it when they were probably in disbelief. That you looked at them with loving eyes when they couldn't do the same for themselves. To love without condition and no judgment. It's important. We all need a healthy dose of that at some point in our life. But we are not a spiritual apothecary that can just be used up until there's nothing left, right? We need to replenish stock. We need to replenish stock. And maybe not sell it all to just one customer, you know? Like, limit. There's a reason why things go on sale in the store and there's a quantity limit. Like, you can't just have someone come in and buy it all, right? You want to talk about mirror in the reality, how the outer reflects in the inner. Like, you can't just sell all your soul to one person. You might want to give little pieces of your soul here and there to other people and allow other people to give little pieces of their soul to you along the way. And we keep replenishing. We're all connected. Don't drain your peace out. Literally, your peace. P-E-A-C-E. So I hope that helps. You know, save your ass sometimes. Save your ass sometimes. You never know who might need it. You never know who might need it. That beautiful love energy in a beautifully small dose that you feel comfortable giving, you know? I think if you're in dynamic ships where you really do gotta start letting the walls fall and the facades fall between you and you so that you can get real with what it is you genuinely need in your life to feel better, to feel happy and full, let yourself have it. Let yourself have it. What's wrong with having love? I mean, giving. I'm always my best version when I'm giving. I am happiest when I'm giving and nurturing. My Cancer, moon and rising, I love giving. I love a reason to give. Like it is harder for me to get up and motivate myself to go out driving Uber or Lyft to make money for myself. It's hard to do it for me. But if one of my friends out where I drive needed a ride, I would be so willing to jump out of bed and give them a free ride and just do Uber or Lyft while I was out there because they pulled me out of bed and got me to go for them. I'm more inclined to serve myself in service of others. I have a harder time being self-motivated to do that, you know? And I think that that's a decent point to make with this energy. Like, the love inspires. The ability to give inspires. And it inspires other people to give as well. It feels really good to give. We are not selfish. Humans are not selfish by nature. They're taught. They're taught. Just like fear is taught. Fear is not inherent. Children will run up to strangers and tell them that they like their hat. You know, no fear. They will take candy from a stranger. No fear. They're taught. It's no different. It's no different. We are taught selfishness. We are taught, you know, this kill or be killed energy. But it's not who we are. Who we are in our truest, most purest form cares about each other deeply. Wants the best for each other deeply. And if we all just stopped being selfish and took care of each other and held compassion for each other, I mean, money wouldn't even be a thing. It's like, oh, you need this? I got it. No problem. We would just all be helping each other. Oh, this is needed for the community so that we can do this and we could do that and it would be better for everybody. Cool, let's build it. Humans, by nature, are absolutely beautiful. Our soul is beautiful. We just have to peel back the layers of fear that we've been taught to live in. You know, one of my dreams for the longest time was having a community garden, like a community farm, where people could just go and get food. Why the fuck would I charge anybody for an apple? It grows on the tree and it's there. I would gladly maintain the health of that tree so that people could eat an apple whenever they want it, so they're not hungry. Why the fuck are people starving? Why? Right? There's all this land. Like, I would love to own land just to let people come and build on it. Just build on it. Give yourself a roof. Have a sense of community. I don't need to charge rent. You know, like dream goals. I would love to see the world find itself there, where we can just look at each other and say, okay, you have these needs. Let's take care of it. And in the meantime, we're learning to accept it. That's what these Chiron lessons are about. We're learning to accept it. The love that is natural to who we are. And not being afraid that we're not going to get it back in a world that is very selfish. You know, I appreciate you guys, all of you guys. And thank you to everybody who's popped over on TikTok and followed me over there already. I was so excited. I think I've got 16 followers on TikTok right now. And it's like the most exciting thing. All 16 of my followers. I love you. And I will see you guys again soon. Probably tomorrow. I think we're well over 30 days right now. I know I had planned on going live like 30 days in a row. I'm pretty sure I beat it. Pretty sure I got it down. And I don't know. I'm still going anyway because it feels good. It feels good to be present. I missed it a lot. A lot. You love me too. I do. I love you guys. You guys make my heart feel special. You know? Fill me up with love. You guys are the best. You really are the best. I got the best soul fam ever. So until we next meet, guys, enjoy your night, day, wherever you are in the world. And know that my positive vibes and love and blessings are always headed your way. All right. Take care, everyone. Yeah, I lost count. I definitely did. I just lost count. It's great.